Hello and welcome to ProPresenter 4. I'd like to give a quick overview just in the next few minutes of some of the changes that have happened between ProPresenter version 3 and ProPresenter 4. This is going to assume that you already know how to operate ProPresenter 3, so we're going to go really quickly just to highlight the new changes. The first of which is we have several different new layers in ProPresenter 4. At the very basic, we've got our background color, then we have live video that sits above that, all video playback occurs within a layer, and then all of your slides sit on top of that. Then we introduced a new layer that's called props, and props are persistent objects that exist above everything else, and that would be for nursery callouts, a logo bug in the lower right hand corner of your screen, or anything else that you want to sit on top of everything else that's going on during your live presentation. So these new layers, you can think of them, if you're familiar with Photoshop, one just kind of builds upon the other. Great new addition that we have in ProPresenter is the ability to actually have a background color not only globally, but also on a per document basis as well as a per slide basis. So those are the layers of ProPresenter 4. Now let's dive into the interface. The interface has changed rather dramatically, but still retains a lot of what you're familiar with previous versions. We still have our library over here on the left-hand side. Our preview window is still located on the upper left of the screen, and this is exactly what your audience is seeing on the program output. And then we also have a scroll bar at the bottom, or a timeline for any video that's actually playing back. So if I'm playing back a background video, then I can actually have control over pausing it, playing it, or doing anything with the video right here, fast forward, rewind, etc. All the clear buttons are at the top left, and we also have a logo button that you can bail to logo. Templates, which is a brand new function of ProPresenter 4, is kind of the basics for any kind of new slideshow that you're actually doing. It has to adhere to some sort of a template. You can still make modifications on a per slide basis, but because we are introducing new objects within individual slides where you can have multiple objects beyond just the lyrics, the templates makes use of formatting all of those very quickly, and I'll get into that a little bit later. And then we have all of these buttons over here that give you quick access to the various functions of ProPresenter so that you can very quickly access the messages, the props and clocks and other things that are going on the ProPresenter screen. So to start out with, I'm actually just going to make a song live, and you can see in the standard ProPresenter, it was just text on the screen, and as I click on the different slides, those actually change. We actually have a new view in our grid view, or in our presentation view, which is our table view. So if you prefer, you can actually view your slides in a table view. This is a new function of ProPresenter 4 and gives you the ability to actually see the text in a consistent format within this table view and make slides live that way. Next, I want to talk about a change that we made in playlists. Playlists are, again, the same presentations, but they're actually linking to the presentations that exist within your library. But in ProPresenter 4, we've added this new contiguous view. By turning this on, you can actually scroll through all of the slides of your given playlist very quickly so that you can actually see all of those at one time. Next, we actually have, in our video and image bin, we have a backgrounds area as well as a foregrounds area. The difference between backgrounds videos and foregrounds videos are that backgrounds are basically loops that are going to play underneath all the different slide elements that I'm actually showing, whereas foregrounds are presentation slides in and of themselves that are generally sermon illustrations, commercial videos, and that type of thing. But one of the great new features that we have in ProPresenter 4 is the ability to actually change the properties of individual video clips. So I can actually go into this blue clip and change the properties. And by the properties, I mean that I can change the behavior, whether it loops, whether it stops at the end, the volume of that clip, how it is scaled, whether it's scaled to fit, fill, stretch to fill, how I can flip it, I can change the rate. Most fun thing is actually being able to change your color, hue, saturation, variance, brightness, all that good stuff. I can also set the in and out points of the video as well as set a thumbnail for the individual video. So you can also have multiple instances of the same video clip within your ProPresenter backgrounds library or within different playlists. So I have a color change playlist down here that shows different examples of that same video clip but with different colors applied to it. And you can see that's that same blue video clip that has been changed to actually be green. So that is our video and image bin, and that can be shown or hidden by clicking on the tool in the top of the toolbar. Next, I want to get into all the different objects that we actually have within ProPresenter 4. So to do that, I actually have a pre-service announcement slide that I've actually made. And to make this, I'll make this live so you can actually see what this looks like. This is showing that we actually have a transparent PNG as part of our slide, as well as a video that runs underneath. And let me just dive into that by going into the slide editor. Very briefly, we have the different tools up here at the top: a text box, a rectangle, which was used to create this rectangle over here, a graphics box, and in this case, again, I've loaded a transparent PNG file, and I can move that around and specify how I want it to scale. And then we have an object inspector over here that allows you to change, again, the background color per slide, set all my document preferences, specify the size or resolution of the documents. At this point, I should mention that ProPresenter 4 is document-based. It's no longer database-driven, which is the way that ProPresenter 3 was. And what that means for you is that it gives you quick access to actually take and just drag specific presentations onto the Finder. These are completely drag and droppable as if they were documents, and it will actually give you the ability to copy those documents very quickly from one location to another. You can also do the same thing with playlists, which is very convenient. But going back into that pre-service announcement editor, you can specify the transparency of objects. So you can individually change the shadow or outline preferences per text box. You can move the text box around. So you're not limited to the global margin settings like we had in ProPresenter version 3 and prior to that. So you also have the ability to do live video boxes. So I can actually add a live video source as a picture in a window, should you choose to use that functionality. Probably the biggest change that we've made, again, is in the relationship to templates. So whereas we've always had the ability to format slides and specify the alignment and whatnot for our text slides, because we actually have the ability to have multiple objects on the screen now, you can actually you actually have templates. So before I actually create a song, I can actually determine that template. And we have a number of different templates that are preloaded in the software to just give you an example of how these work. But you can also refactor, what we call refactoring the given slide. So as I'm looking at this particular song presentation, I can actually apply a specific template to that after it's been created. So I can actually choose this lower third box left, and you'll see that all of the slides have been reformatted. We've taken the text and reformatted it, specified the font as part of the template, and then added this this box underneath it. So, and again, the box can actually have a transparency, and you can make some really cool looking things. This could be a transparent PNG that's part of your template. You can create as many templates as you like. And if you actually have the template in a resolution that is different than what your output screen is, then we actually scale that dynamically. Because this is a document-based system, you actually have the ability in ProPresenter 4. Another new feature that we have is you can actually have multiple libraries. So I'm on my default ProPresenter 4 library, but let's say this computer and this account is actually shared across multiple ministries. I can also load different libraries, so I can change this to my youth library, and you can see that my library changes when I change the folder in which I want to reference as my library. Taking this a step further, you also have the ability to sync to a network folder or to another folder that's accessible by my computer. And this is a bidirectional sync, so I can either choose to sync files up, sync files down, or look for collisions between the different files that are on a server or the files that are located locally on my machine and sync files up and down simultaneously. All the original functions with regards to the triple head to go, if you've had an advanced module, should work within ProPresenter 4, as well as the alpha keyer module and other things, although in the public beta, some of these features are disabled. The next step is the props layer. The props layer is, again, that uppermost layer that sits atop everything, and we have the ability to, some examples in here. It's available right from the props button that's in the toolbar, and this gives us the ability to show a logo on the screen, and this will persist across multiple slides. So as I change my slides, these different props that I have active will remain active, and I can very quickly come in here and turn them off. They're shown as being active because they're actually highlighted in orange, and I can very quickly turn them off just by clicking on them or by using the close box that's at the top of the window. Another thing that you can actually put into props layers is the message. We've always had messages in ProPresenter, but now we actually have advanced messaging. So I can actually, type in a specific message and show that message. In this case, it's just going to use a center template so I can see the text in the middle of the screen, and then I can hide that. Or I can actually do nursery callouts in a form method. So I can type in the child number and the room number and say show message. and this is choosing a different template. So it's going to just load that content into this existing or this template that I've chosen. Makes it very easy for volunteers to use. And we also have this display preference, so you can actually predetermine the amount of time that you want to show these particular messages. So after 15 seconds, that has gone away. You can have multiple messages live at any one time, and to show you actually how this works, we've introduced this new function for these form elements that are called tokens. And tokens allow you to predefine your message in the message text, but just drag tokens over to the message text and that will dynamically create these individual form elements like I've shown here. And so whenever you get out of the editor after you've chosen the template and determined exactly the way you want it to look, then the volunteer or the operator would need only enter these particular form elements before they show the message, and then the formatting is done automatically. And again, this is all appearing within that props layer as well. Another thing that we had access to in the props layer or in the messages was clocks, so for countdown clocks and whatnot. We actually have a master control center for all the clocks. We've got several different clocks in ProPresenter 4. The basic is just the current time, which we can have a date or not have a date. We have a stopwatch function, which is a time-elapsed function, which I can start that at any given time. And then we have countdown timers that we can name. So I have a service countdown clock, a worship countdown clock. And these countdown timers can either be a countdown timer where I'm specifying an actual number of hours, minutes, and seconds, or I can actually count down to a specific time and enter that. And I can start all of these going. And these are just going to be running in the background, and I have control to start all, reset all, stop all, or what have you. So the usefulness of this is not only available in messages where I can actually say, all right, I want to count down, and this is, I'll do a service ending countdown. So we can say when the service is going to end. When I show this message, it's going to say the service will end in 8 hours, 34 minutes. Hopefully your services don't run that long. But this is also useful for another new feature that we have that's been very, very popular as we've shown it to people, which is the stage display function. The stage display allows you to communicate information to the people that are actually on the stage. And the way that we do this, the stage display generally looks like this. We have a number of different options. I can actually choose to show the slide. These are different boxes that I have here. Right now I'm showing the current slide as well as the next slide, but I can actually show the text as it is laid out in sort of a WYSIWYG format. What you see is what you get. Or I can actually just choose to show the text only. Showing the text only is great because it allows the text to really pop and make it large so that the people on the stage can actually see it more easily. So you can see I have the text of this current slide as well as the text of the next slide. And again, this could be a plasma display or an LCD TV that's sitting at the front of the stage, or a projector that's projected at the back wall of the room, so that the choir and the speaker and the worship leader can actually see that. We have, in this case, I'm showing a clock, the time elapsed, and all of these are resizable and movable. And then what your people on the stage see is identical to this, as you can see here. And we can also, in this mode, we can also send a message to the person that's on the stage. So I can say, please have people move to the center. And when I say send note, that's going to highlight and flash green for whatever size box that I have for that particular part of this. And again, this is completely customizable. Brand new feature of ProPresenter 4 that we're really, really excited about. And you can do this using an inexpensive device that we sell on the Renewed Vision web store, which is a USB to DVI output device, which also comes with adapters for VGA or HDMI that you can use inexpensive displays. It'll plug into, this adapter will plug into the USB port of your computer and give a third output. So the three outputs that we have now active in ProPresenter are our operator display, which is what the operator sees, which is what I'm doing the primary demonstrations with for this demo. What your audience sees, which would be our secondary output, and then finally this third output, which is for the stage display. And then finally, I want to talk about Bibles. We've done a complete revamp of the way that we operate with Bibles, and so when we open up this Bibles inspector, I can actually just very quickly type in a particular verse, and this is actually going to lay out the scripture passage that I specify in a chosen template. In this case, I have that same lower third box left. I'll choose a different one. I'll choose this purple background. with the text aligned to the lower left. And you can see if I expand this this passage from John 3:16 to John 3:19, whoops, not 1:19, but 19, that it actually, I have a number of different ways that I can flow this text. So this is actually, I'm not breaking on a new verse. It actually goes right from John 16 to 17, and it creates slides as needed to have this text fill this particular text box. I can choose to break on each new verse. I can choose to create verse references at the bottom of each individual slide, or put the passage reference, John 3:16 to 19, at the end of each individual slide, or just put the passage reference on the last slide. And again, I can change the template. And you can create templates for a particular series if you want to have a consistent artistic look for across all the different elements that you're showing for a particular series. And I can just click on these slides to make them live at any given time. I can also, if I want to do edits for this, I can create a presentation. And when I create a presentation, it's actually added a presentation to my library, and I can actually, at that point, these are editable slides, and I can go in and edit them, move text from one slide to the next, and click on them that way. So the ability to make edits to a slides are something that some churches actually like to be able to do with the scripture in case you want to add some context after you say a particular, for God so loved, and then you want to talk a little bit about what that actually means before you actually continue on with the rest of the verse. But the great thing about ProPresenter 4 is we retain all the information for this particular verse, so that if you actually do get to this last slide and your speaker decides that they actually want to continue with verse 20, we have this next verse button on the bottom of the screen, so we can very quickly add the next verse even after I've created an editable presentation. Some other new features is we have an advanced timeline function. This advanced timeline is similar to the song sequencing method that we had in ProPresenter 3, but in this version we actually have the ability to take and drag slides up to this timeline, and it need not actually have an audio track attached to it, although you certainly can do what we did in ProPresenter 3, which is to record cues. So you can pre-sequence slides to a generic soundtrack that just has a duration that you specify, or to a soundtrack. And for more information on that, you will need to look at the more in-depth tutorials that we are going to be providing. We also have a web view function, and this is convenient if you want to actually display web pages to your audience. The operator display will just show this web page, and I can operate and see the web page here, and my audience is going to see, when I say show, is going to see the same web page, but without all of the same status bars and that kind of thing. So a lot of new changes in ProPresenter 4. This is, again, a very brief overview of those. I would encourage you to take a look at our more comprehensive overview if you have more questions about how certain things work. And we hope you enjoy it. This is a trial beta period that we're doing right now. We're very interested in your feedback and hope that you'll participate on the chats that are taking place within the web forum. Hope you enjoy it.